it passes through the physical bodies of the humans on the way to the core of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It strikes the core of the earth, which they say is an iron core, but that's the central sun. And it's not a solidified body, it's more plasmic in nature. Right. They call it the black sun in the Masonic lodges. Okay. So once those source codes went through the mitochondrial and went through the earth, has a mitochondrial counterpart in the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these is accumulating information as those source codes reach the core. Now, the data is being transferred through Schumann resonance, right? Which sends a frequency wave out from the earth. These frequency waves, the closest planetary bodies with massive responses is the lunar orb and the solar orb. When the codes from the source after it's been through the earth go to the sun, the solar rays begin to program what we call ultraviolet radiation. Right? So when you see it's calculating the math on what needs to be done to alter the genetic code of the existing species, and what's the upgrades to come based on the accumulated data that's accumulated DNA fed it. So the sun sends out the solar rays and ultraviolet radiation. Now, there's only two things known to alter DNA that naturally. One is the UV rays of the sun. The other one is gradual change through the upgrade of the program by the experience of the people who's trading DNA. Right? They call that evolution. Right? But all it is scientifically, it's more of upgrades than evolution. Okay, so the Earth responding by sending back massive energy spikes on the Schumann resonance field. And then the Earth the sun is responding back to the Earth by showering the Earth with these magnetic storms, geomagnetic storms, right? And these storms is bringing in the information to correct the errors in the DNA on the orders of the source code. Right. So now the UV rays is aligning the DNA for what we call in the spirit community, they call it the Great Awakening. Right? Where the veil of ignorance, the slumber of sleep being lifted off the psyche of the people, they begin to go back to operating from a higher intellectual capacity than before. Right. So this is the result when you look at the atmosphere. The atmosphere is in layers. And the penetration of each layer from the solar rays puts off a different luminescence.
Different color.
Right. And when it get to the ozone layer, this is the double oxygen blue molecule, right? The 40-fold blue, by the way, blue pill.
Yes, sir.
Crooked Man walking Angel Bay, which mean that these not only are these lighten up the atmospheric layers, it also has the propensity for massive, what we call lightning storms.
Yeah. That's taking place in Ohio right now.
That's what we call Crooked Man walking across the land.
Yes.
The shocker.
Yes.
Walking lightning.
No,
That's the symbol for walking lightning, or what we call tribally called lightning storms.
Yes.
When the tribes call it lightning storms, they don't behave the same way as when the earth called for them.
Right.
Yeah, when I first come out with information, sometimes it sounds far-fetched and unbelievable because we don't remember our culture.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We are manifest spirits of the earth in human form, guardians of the realm of the earth. But we have to use the spiritual tools in the physical realm, they arts and entertainment, not religion.
Mm.
The artist is more spiritual than the people following the religion to the letter. The people following the religion is more religious, but the people that's spilling out the truth of their heart, they speaking from the heart chakra. They speaking from what's called the true place.
Right.
These brothers doing these walks is ancient. It's not modern.
Mm-hmm.
Crip walking or C walking and B walking are mirrors of the same energy harnessed from the red house and the blue house, the motherland and the fatherland.
Mm-hmm.
We use those. So when you see the sisters be rump shaking, that's called the sway of the matriarch. They call it for earthquakes. And these earthquakes will shake the ground because the matriarchs with the right frequency shaking their rump is telling the earth to shake. And the earth responds with an earthquake somewhere. I remember the uterus is a musical instrument. And the musical instrument is insulated by the glue. Right? So imagine your kick drum. You ever see a kick drum and it got sandbags in it and towels and stuff?
Yeah.
Because it gives you a sharper bass. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the musical instrument of the uterus, it sends out a song directly to source when the women are dancing. Different dances play the instrument in a different fashion.
Damn.
Example, in classical music, you playing the violin.
Yeah.
But in country music, you fiddling the fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same instrument, but it's used in two different manners with two different playing styles. Purple haze all in my eye. Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
Oh, man.
Blue Orleans, don't let me get you.
Yeah. So this is the same musical knowledge that the old blues players, when they played their instrument, each one of them is mimicking how they perceive the sound of the women around him uterus, but he don't know where it's coming from.
Right.
But he hear the sound. So he play it on his instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can put words to it. Right? When he did that woman wrong, don't he always sing the blues? Right? And then he talk about how bad his life done been since she been gone.
Facts.
Right? Ain't no sunshine in the heart of the city. Right? Ain't no sunshine when she gone. He got the musical backdrop from the frequency of her dances as he translated it into music to play for the people. But he don't know where he hearing this music play at. And it all rides the wave of mitochondrial resonance, because mitochondrial resonance is the carrier of the love frequency, which is the root to all music. Okay, look, this is me and Blue Pill coming back together. Was it 2 years later?
2 years later, yes.
Remember 2 years ago, it was a concert, a Free Larry Hoover concert.
That's right.
In LA.
Right. Indeed it was.
It was, who was in it?
It was Ye and Drake.
Right. Now, at the time that was going on, it was a chapter or a book in Revelation was playing out in the stars, where it said that the woman was heavy pregnant with child, and she was in labor, and the dragon was waiting to consume the child at its birth.
At its birth, yes.
Okay. That's what the star alignment was when they did that concert. Now, in the Gemini constellation, Virgo constellations are preeminent at this time, because while the dragon is waiting to consume the Gemini, the twin pillars is what she's holding on to. Right? They have art from Christian artists' rendition of the painting showing the dragon waiting to devour the child, and the woman is standing there, she's holding on to the pillars, and she's pregnant. And the reason why they're showing that, because they're showing us an artist's rendition of a stellar event, right? So now they wrote about it, they painted it, and it played out in the stars. Now, there's something called a turnaround. When the energy come back that's been put out. What's Kanye's zodiac sign?
It's Gemini.
What's Kendrick's zodiac sign?
Gemini.
So Drake now trapped between the two pillars.
The two pillars, yes.
Which is the Gemini flip. Of the beginning flips the end as they slay the dragon.
As they slay the dragon, right.
This comes from the hero's journey. If you go back to all of the great heroes, they all had to save the lady from the dragon.
Yes, the damsel from the dragon.
Right? The hero's journey is the blueprint for the pretender to the throne to have a seamless transition of power. As one age closed and a new age open, the people that's responsible for it, they watching these stellar events, and they watching what the people wrote about these stellar events, and then they watching how is it playing out in the human arena, because we playing the parts on Earth in our day-to-day life, never knowing that we all imitating one of them stars in the sky.
That part.
So when we see the codes come in, they binary codes, it looked like the streamer in the Matrix. But that's not how the ancients told us about it. The ancients showed us long arms reaching from the solar orb with hands on the end, touching on the family.
That's right.
Right? It's the same thing. It's the data, the upgrades is telling you the holy drama. What we about to go through is already something that the ancients have mapped out by following the stars for a prolonged period of time.
Yes. Cycles
repeat. Some cycles take longer than others to repeat due to the amount of distance between the 2 points in which the energy returns. So this gives you a varying turnaround time. Some women have instant manifestation where they could be sitting there, they clasp their hand over their uterus and say, I sure need $50 to feed these babies. And then 2-3 hours later, somebody knocking on the door with a $50 check that they where she overpaid something 5 years ago. And she ain't had no knowledge of it. Did it really happen, or did her manifestation cause a Mandela effect?
Mm.
Mm.
You see,
So
so
Right.
when you
Yeah.
when you put it all together, it's explaining itself as it's playing out. We watching it, trying to figure out what it's telling us. The inheritance comes from the motherland of the wealth of the family.
yes.
So the mother disseminates the wealth to the children. If you want to undermine that, supplant that, Yakub that, right? You replace the motherland with the patriarchs, and you have to create a fictitious system, which is an elaborate illusion, a David Copperfield trick to make everybody believe that the mother is irrelevant. So you erase her out of your religions, and you push a homosexual agenda in order to feminize the males so they don't stand up and fight for their mama. Look, I was just having a conversation earlier on Facebook with a guy, and I was telling him, harp is turned off.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay attention to the Schumann resonance and the solar activity, and then you can see what's causing the weather pattern to be freaky. Because the Schumann resonance is freaky as hell right now, and the solar flares and the solar flashes and the solar storms is freaky right now. So the weather on the physical earth is going to be freaky.
Mm-hmm.
This is the so-called prophecy of floods and earthquake in diverse places.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? And Garvey said he coming back with the millions and millions of ancestors in the whirlwind. What's the whirlwind? That's the cyclone, that's the tornado, that's the hurricanes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's even the little dirt devils in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it's also the whirlpools in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the ancestors, he's explaining us an old ancient science of when the ancestors start to activate the descendants to wake up and redeem the ancestors. They use weather patterns as signs for us, as wonders for us to read. Right? And then we start comparing like what we're seeing on the ground with what the weather doing, and we start seeing a whole story play out on the ground influenced by the weather.
Indeed. Damn.
People don't sunbathe on cloudy days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You don't go to the beach in a rainstorm. So the people responding to the weather in light can is causing energy to be moved in a certain way. Look, before TV, before radio, we had something called an almanac. The farmer's almanac, every farmer had one. And they knew when to plant their crops by the almanac, what the weather was going to be during the planting season, how many days. All this was already plotted in the almanac before there was a weather channel to look at. And when we have the luxury of comparing the almanac's predictions in the past with the actual events in the past that they was predicting, because we beyond those things. So when you look back, you find out the almanac is like 97% accurate. The weather channel is like 80% to 85% accurate. Right? So maybe the weather channel needs to go read the almanac.
Indeed. Wow.
Well, let's do this. You ever see them where they put the goggles on with the colors flashing and then they play a tone in your ear?
Yeah. What that got a name, don't it?
Yeah, I just can't remember it right now.
Shit, but yeah.
Anyway, they put them in there normally to balance the hemispheres of the brain.
Right.
Right. And they're using the light show and the sound show at the same time to play on more than one sense to make it permeate deeper. When you're looking at different color lights, they got different effects on you. different colors have different effects. They call it color psychology. So when you're looking at those northern lights, not only can you read the energy frequency by the color, it also does something to you by the color as well. Remember in 1999, the sky was all purple. There was people running everywhere. What they talking about? And when you look out there now, the sky is all purple and people running around talking about, you see that? Right. Maybe the song was an exaggeration of a lesser event.
Word, right?
You know,
you talk about a kaleidoscope? Is that the name of it? Kaleidoscope?
No, that's that little thing that you get when you're little, and it got all of the funny shapes that come.
Right.
But those are also formed with color.
Right.
Right. So when we looking at different colors, remember the optic nerve ain't just reading the image. It's reading the color. It's reading the distance, and it's also reading the entropy of the color as it returns to the optic nerve. By distance, he know how much of the color in order to adjust it to match the background color. Right. That's why you can have two different greens on top of each other and you can clearly see them. They not the same, but they both green. You know. So it's like with the human. Before we was iron based, our melanin made us shades of blue and green.
Right.
Delbert Blair used to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What made us iron based again? I think I talked to you about this on the phone one time. What made us iron based?
Well, it was from altering the DNA. It's a combination of factors. Altering the DNA, taking the double oxygen molecule that used to be down to the surface, now it's only to the ozone layer. So now you breathe in O1 instead of O2, or just O.
Right.
It's all these things changes the physiology. When you start tampering with the DNA, and the DNA begin to upgrade, and it's also from everybody coming in human form. You can't come in your mythic form, but you can still see peering through the mythic form of the ancestor that's incarnated.
Right.
So when we get caught up thinking that fairies ain't real, they just look like little people now. Right? Elves and gnomes, we call them dwarfs. Right? And them big Shrek looking people, you see them all the time. Look big goofies. You know? All of the mythic forms is in human form, but because it's built around the spirit self, the mythic form can be seen peering through the face of the human. Mermaid, the Lyran,
all that.
Right? You can see it peering through the face of the human, and it causes the general structure of the facial cranial features to develop into what they develop into. As you begin to peer.
I seen the devil. I seen an evil entity. Is that just their mythic form?
Beyond the veil, and they start seeing
they looking at themselves.
Right.
Especially when you
look, the first time you face to face with yourself, for real, for some people, that's the most terrifying reality they'll ever have. Being face to face with themselves. We call it shadow work. We call it facing your inner demons.
I talked about this on the show with again. I'd say it later. I want to tell people something. Okay, right.
So when you start facing all of the stuff, you like, for instance, the same person that can't stand so and so because they always sticking their fingers in the pot, walk right behind them, and they mad because they didn't stick their fingers in the pot first.
Woo.
But they want to complain about him sticking his fingers in the pot, so they don't seem petty by just complaining about him sticking his fingers in the pot first.
Oh man, some hella psychology. Some hella psychology.
All this stuff is to scramble the mind and keep
Yeah.
us confused as to who we are, what's going on, and everything gonna be all right. And it ain't no doomsday prophecy. All them doomsday sayers and all that, they probably gonna be the ones with the doomsday for the dirt they did. But the rest of us, regular people, the average person is inherently good.
Mm.
It's the exception to the rule when you come up with the rotten, the no good people, the ones that sell you out for a little bit of nothing. That's not the norm. But the damage they do is so catastrophic that it becomes common knowledge that they exist.
Mm.
We all know it. When this dude come around, guys start tucking their chains in like Debo coming. It's a Debo in every hood. And it's a Craig in every hood waiting to bust him in the face with a brick.
Yeah.
Who don't really want it, but he ain't backing down. I'd be having a histamine response more than anything else. When the energy start moving, it give me a histamine response. It make me start itching all over. But it ain't a regular itch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but really that's the ionization. Because remember, bees use pollen to fertilize flowers. Right? The coals have to upgrade all genetic matter. Flowers are genetic matter. So the pollen being ionized by those same energies is giving it a whole bunch of what we call neutral additions to it in order for it to transport more information in the genetic field. Right? So you can only do two things. You could go to war or you can make love. You can't do both at the same time. Right? And if the flower is defending itself, the pollen is an agitator. But if the pollen is upgraded for a special reproductive purpose, now it's not an adjutant, right? It's more conducive than it is agitating. Right? We need more bee farmers. We need to put an APB out on all sisters that want to raise bees. We need way more bee farmers. We don't have enough. And remember, they're making honey out of this ionized pollen too.
That's right.
Ooh.
Some people, you gotta follow. You can start eating by doing. Start eating by instinct. If you ain't hungry, don't eat. If you're hungry, eat. But your appetite can be affected, and sometimes some of us won't be able to eat for days at a time, and then sometimes we be gorging for 3 days in a row. So the energy gonna move you what to eat, when to eat, because you're gonna have a unnatural craving for something. That means go get that. Right? Yeah. All that's part of spiritual awakening. Because your body know where chemicals at in the food that you ain't and didn't even know was in the food
that you need, right?
Yeah. So when you're going through an awakening, you had them strange cravings. I want to eat pickles and cucumbers dipped in ranch. I ain't never ate that shit before. Now all of a sudden I want that shit, right? Because now something in my memory in my body saying the last time we was able to find that combination, it was in the pickle and it was in the cucumber. And it was something in the ranch that made it palatable. Right? So the body is talking to us. If we don't listen, then we don't listen. But it will affect appetite. Sometimes it'll give you a redundant appetite where you only want to eat one thing most of the time.
Indeed.
Look, somebody in the comments said pickle is a cucumber. Well, I'm glad they mentioned that because people don't understand when you process the cucumber into the pickle, it changes the chemical composition of the cucumber.
It does.
So what was in the pickle ain't in the cucumber. And what's in the cucumber is no longer in the pickle.
Too different, right?
Right. So because the chemistry's been changed.
Right.
So the body will put that together. Boom, boom, boom.
Damn.
And tell you
right.
That's a ritual in and unto itself. And then different cultures do it for different reasons. Right. When you read about them doing it in I think it's the book of Obadiah in the Bible, they're doing it to represent grief. When you go to India, they put the sacred ash on their face, right? And that's because Hanuman covered his whole body in sacred ash because he say, the way I'm made, I need a whole bunch of blessing. So he said, if a little bit of it is good, I got to cover myself with it because I need a whole lot of it for what I am. Right. And then you have the monks that emulate that. So you got different causes, different purposes for putting the dirts and the ashes on your skin. And some African tribes, they turn the ash into paint and put art on their face. But it's all for a different purpose. Peel mentioned something a minute ago about the feet. A lot of people don't know you have a chakra in the instep of your foot on both feet. Just like you have a chakra in each of the palms of your hand. And when you grounding, the earth is the most stable energy on earth. Everything else that's stable on earth had to be attached to the earth for stability. So if the energy is the most stable energy and you going through an awakening, you need to tie into the great stabilizer. The other strategy is the trees. Put your feet on the ground, sit at the bottom of the tree and lean your back against it. The tree and the earth is the two most stable energies we know of because the nature of the tree is the stable energy. That's why the roots have to dig deep the higher the tree go. As above, so below, maintaining the balance. As far as for people ask for rituals, everybody got different spiritual paths that they walk. We can't give them one ritual for everybody because your energy, you have to be into the ritual in order for it to be effective. If you faking it, the spirit gonna say, oh, he don't mean it, so don't do nothing about that. Right? But soon as you sincere, that's the feather of the heart and the weighing of the heart. It's your pure intentions. So if your pure intentions instruct you that you need to do a ritual, do the ritual however you feel like doing it. The most potent ritual anyway is the one you write for yourself. That's what they don't want you to know, so you can rely on their religious constructs and give all the energy to them that you can be using to make your best life. Keep your energy. Write your own ritual. Write your own sigils.
Man,
look, I know people in the north that come from the south that send home for the dirt. And it also could have been your genetic memory reminding you of something you did in the past life.
Yes.
Look, anytime you dealing with your inner demons, the first place to start is not gonna you how you gonna. But the first thing that you have to do is everything you hate in other people, make sure that it's not in you. That's your first step. Because your inner demon is the one always tricking you that you the one right when you wrong as hell.
Damn.
It's the first step. That's all you could do is take the first step and the next step to follow. Once you go in a direction, you're going to start walking the path. So you go through them first. See if you got any of that. You a kleptomaniac? You a sex addict? You know, go through the 7 deadly sins. You a glutton? You lazy? Then fight that shit. If you find that you inherently lazy, every day find something to do. Because now you are overriding that negative trait, and that's called slaying your inner demon. Also, your inner demon is unresolved traumas. As long as the unresolved trauma continue to affect your present life, you living with a demon on your back. Most of those demons are generational curses, which is energy from an ancestor. Your alcoholic ancestor don't want nothing more than for you to be an alcoholic like him to validate his fuck up. All the rest of your ancestors saying, don't listen to that alcoholic ass nigga. He gonna have you strung out in alcohol, right? And as soon as you tell that alcoholic ancestor, I ain't finna be participating in that shit, then all of the rest of the ancestors start serving as your spiritual protection to make you go sit your punk ass down. You heard the baby say she don't want nothing to do with you. Go sit your drunk ass down somewhere. You're not finna get the baby intoxicated on alcohol for the rest of her life. They'll correct it for you if you strap on your ovaries or testicles enough to tell that energy, I don't want you to use me as your outlet. Just
That's
like
how-
you got good ancestors, you got some foul motherfuckers too.
Damn.
And if you don't confront the foul motherfuckers, your good ancestors can't say nothing to them.
Right.
You got to defend yourself in order for them to defend you.
Facts.
Some real shit, Rod.
And the
Yeah, that's the shit people don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be all peaches and cream. Half of these niggas' ancestors was the ones that sold out everybody else on the plantation.
Mm.
And now they over here trying to convince us that we from somewhere else so they can support that same bloodline bullshit.
Mm. Yeah.
You think that energy just stopped because that person died? They pass that shit on, contagion, aberration.
Whew.
Passing them psychological defects down family lines like they passing the flu. That's the hard part, because we've been taught to stay in the position of victim for so long that when it comes time for us to not be a victim, it leaves a void. We don't know what to replace it with. And it leaves a void. You have to find enough self-esteem in yourself, call your good ancestors to run your bad ancestors away. If you had issues with your mama and daddy, your granny, tell your mama, come get your daughter. She ain't right. You tell your daddy, come get your son. He ain't acting right. He trying to get me to hold on to this traumatic bullshit. I don't want to hold on to it. The only reason why we tormented by it because we keep reliving it. You can't undo it. You got to come to that realization. Since you can't undo it, then you have to surrender the hold that it have on you because you can't undo it. It already happened. Right? And because it already happened, you're not going to change it from already being done took place. You can only change how you respond to it. Right? It's just like now. Person walk up to me on some shenanigans, I'm going to give them every out before I chop them in the throat. But believe me, I can't wait till that last out is up so I can chop them in the throat. But I still got to do my due diligence to peacefully resolve the matter.
Right.
And when I see that me peacefully resolving the matter not going to work, throat chop. Lead with love, but master the throat punch. That's, because just because you trying to be righteous don't mean you ain't going to have to chop somebody in their throat or push their snot box back. That might happen. You think all these preachers, you don't think none of them get down with you? They come from the block.
Right, yeah.
Some of these preachers will whoop the brakes off some of these gangsters. But because he thought that the church was the right way, he tried to change his life. You taking his kindness for weakness as if he wasn't a goon in his younger days. That's the same with people like us. I know I can look at Blue Pill and tell what he came through that was similar to what I came through. Same with you, Rich. And then it automatically give me an automatic built-in respect because, man, against all odds, we ain't even supposed to be here.
Not doing this.
Every prophecy about our lives when we was growing up, they said we wasn't going to make it to C21.
Yeah.
I'm 55 years old. How the hell I get here?
Do a lot. Right, that part.
You know what I mean? So that in itself, and then when I see y'all, I know y'all done been through similar background because we all have. And I was like, man, we got to be some cold pieces of work because we done went through some stuff and we still here. We ain't supposed to be here.
Right.
But we supposed to be here. The thing about activating the macabre, the average person right now is too lazy. We too fast food culture. The first thing you have to do is center all your energy to core. And that requires a certain level of discipline and mental control that the average person, when they start applying that level of discipline and mental control, abandon the project. It's hard. Goddamn right it's hard. Or else everybody have an active macabre if it wasn't hard. And we always want the easy way to get it. Some stuff I can give you a shortcut. Like in resolving past trauma, when you look at life as life resistance exercises, the more trauma you went through, the stronger you had to be for the job you got coming up. If you look at it from that perspective, your past traumas become the weight in the weight room. Every time you leave the weight room, you don't take the weight with you. You just go in there to pick stuff up, put stuff down, and build your body. Your life resistance exercises the trauma you left behind. You lifted it while you was going through it. You done with that now. Move on to your next set and your next program. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be painful. You gotta remember, we ain't got no emotions when we ain't in the physical. So we can't live in our emotions while we in the physical. We use our emotions to navigate life. It's a difference. If you're living in an emotion, you stuck in that emotion. It's the same as a car being stuck in one gear. Transmission need to be fixed. In this case, the transmission that needs fixing is the internal communication with the self. You got to ask yourself, do I want to remain the victim or do I want to turn myself into a conqueror? That's your choice. You know, so activating the macabre is not easy. I can give you 1,000